first few seconds of my videos on YouTube don't record. So I think I need to stop trying to talk as soon as I hit record. Um, but I'm here to talk to you guys about an idea that I have. So, as you know, I love SHINee. SHINee's my favorite. And, after reviewing Key's album, I was like, I don't think I talk enough about SHINee's music. Like, I do talk all the time about how much I love SHINee, favorite group, how I just think that they are the consummate K-pop band. But I don't think I ever really talk that much about, like, their music. I talk about my favorites all the time, but like I don't talk about songs that I don't like. I don't talk about, which albums I thought were like not super great. I mean, I've mentioned them in passing for sure. Like I think everybody knows that 2009 Year of Us is my least favorite SHINee album, and I think everybody knows that Married to the Music is my favorite SHINee album. So I was just thinking, do you guys think that you would want to hear about me talking about SHINee's music discography? Like, there's a playlist on Spotify called like All SHINee Songs in Order, and I was thinking like maybe I could go through and I could just talk about each of SHINee's albums, maybe do like a couple of OSTs whenever I'm doing an album, and just talk about SHINee's music and what I think about SHINee's music because, like I said, I had a really good time talking about Key's songs, and just what they sounded like, how I felt about them, and then I don't know. SHINee has so much music that going back and trying to revisit it, like it's hours upon hours of music. And that's just if you're talking about the OT5 band stuff. If you're not talking about solos, if you're not talking about OSTs, SHINee has a lot of music out there. So I was thinking that it might be something for us to talk about their music. And I think I kind of want to get more into doing that whenever I'm talking about albums I've bought or things that, are coming up instead of solely focusing on, I feel like I focus on the marketing part of things. Like I focus more on, you know, how the music video looked or how I thought this comeback was doing. I think I want to talk more about the music because I think, at the end of the day, the music is the most important thing. So, like, for instance, Blackpink, it has a release scheduled for Friday. And I think I want to spend some time talking about the music because I think that is probably the most enduring thing of anything else that we're ever going to get is what about the music? And especially because the music is a big predicator of whether or not a band or a company is going to remain popular. So I don't think I talked about it any of my lives, but I'm going to talk very briefly about Pink Venom, very, very briefly. So I think that Pink Venom is indicative that they need to change the style for Blackpink. I don't think that Pink Venom is a terrible song in the history of K-pop. Like, but Pink Venom is no in mix. I'll put it that way. But Pink Venom, I think, shows a weakness when it comes to Blackpink in that the video looks very much like every other Blackpink video. The song is a very Teddy-esque YG song, and I think the rap part of the song was super old-fashioned, and not just old-fashioned because they put the old school kind of like whiny synth sound on it, but old school in that like it doesn't sound like your Doechis, it doesn't sound like your Doja Cats, like it doesn't have the same kind of new cadence that other female rappers are using. And so, yeah, it sounds old fashioned. And I think that one problem is you've got a 40-plus-year-old man writing Lisa's raps. That's their first problem right there. They need to employ younger women to write Lisa's raps. Number one, because I think sometimes Lisa's raps don't have a particularly female point of view. They're written from the point of view of a female, but they're written in a way that's just like, I'm so perfect, I'm the best, no one can compete with me, yeah, 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 look at me, instead of like really having some nuance. And I think that if you had a young woman writing Lisa's raps, you'd have raps that, number one, the lingo would be a lot more updated, but two, I think that it would sound more honest. And I think that Lisa would be more comfortable rapping things that sound more like her life. So that's something to think about. But yeah, I don't think that Pink Venom did the best of showcasing everybody's vocals. I think the last Blackpink song that I thought this is the reason why they're global superstars was How You Like That, which I remember a lot of people didn't like How You Like That when it first came out, which I don't know why. But yeah, I think that's the song. If I was going to say, okay, time to put original Blackpink to bed, that would be the song I'd put to bed with. Like this is the height of that form of Blackpink. Now let's do something crazy original with Blackpink. And there's so much crazy original stuff to do. There are so many like sample driven musical styles that they could be doing. There's a big house music movement right now. I think it'd be awesome to see a group of girls take on house in a really strong way. But yeah, I think that people are starting to get a little bit tired of the YG-ness of everything. So it wouldn't be a bad idea for them to branch out with sound. We kind of laughed at it at the time, and I'm even guilty of it. Really interesting move for them. I thought it was a really interesting move, and I wouldn't mind seeing something similar to that in the future. But what I really liked from them was Sour Candy. Their Sour Candy collaboration with Lady Gaga, again, talking about house music. I think that's such a strong direction for these girls to be in. I think that is such a great idea for them to, kind of explore out a little bit more, do something that's just not typical for them, work with some different producers. Absolutely. But yeah, I think that when their album comes out, I definitely want to talk about the album in full. I want to talk about the singles, but I just really want to focus on the music because I think that's a discussion we're just not having as much of anymore. We're all concerned about where are people placing on the charts, how they're doing on music shows, what the packaging looks like, which is still an important conversation. But the music absolutely needs to have more discussion. Speaking of music and discussions, uh, I'm glad I tucked this into a less popular video, so hopefully, like the stands won't find me. The other day, I was on Wikipedia and I was looking up something. I don't know what I was looking up, but something related to K-pop. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna look up like the performance of the last few BTS songs, albums, sales, stuff like that, because I haven't really made it a secret that I haven't enjoyed new BTS. Like, I would say pandemic and post-pandemic BTS has not been my fave. I think that's the best way to put it. Pandemic and post-pandemic BTS have not been my fave. But I did come around to Butter a little bit. I could acknowledge that Butter was catchy. I still have issues with the English lyrics of Dynamite. That will never change because it's just a fact that those lyrics are trash. But My Universe, I stand on all 10 toes to say that song was garbage. I stand on all 10 toes in saying that I cannot even remember what any of the singles from the last BTS anthology album sound like. Like, I'm trying in my mind remember what those songs sound like. Can't, can't. I know there was Run BTS, The Best Was Yet to Come, and I think there was one other song. Could not recall their sounds if you had a gun to my head. And then they just did a song with Benny Blanco not that long ago, which again, I can't even remember the name of that song. I can't even remember the name. And so I'm like, okay, I know I've been dogging the music, but like, how is the music doing? How is it doing? And the music's not doing as good. It's not. I think Butter and Dynamite were the highlight. The music that's come after, it'll chart high and then it'll drop significantly. It's not staying on the charts as long. This latest anthology album has not sold nearly as much as their other stuff has. And again, the music is important. I don't think that BTS could have ever gotten as popular as they did if they didn't have really strong music coming out. And I think that's the reason why they did so well. Like, yeah, the video for Blood, Sweat, and Tears is a really sexy, hot, fun video, but the song itself is super dramatic and impactful. And then when you follow it up with songs like Fake Love and DNA and Idol, those are really strong songs. And they have like a I don't know, they have a little bit more investment from a group in them. So I think that's an example again of why it's important to look at the music and talk about the music for real, because I don't see it just happening with like the music being weak and that's why people are losing interest. The music being weak, everything else around the music starts to fall by the wayside as well. The merchandising aspect of it, the merch doesn't sell as fast as it used to if people aren't interested in the music. You don't have as many auxiliary items, so you have less video games. You start discontinuing some of the projects you were doing, like your webtoon and some of that other stuff that really didn't matter and you don't really need it, but everything else is predicate on the music. You sell the plushies if the music sells. You sell the video games if the music sells. You sell subscriptions to webtoons if the music sells. You sell clothing if the music sells. You sell albums if the music sells. And you get sponsorships, collaborations, CFs, all of that shit. That all comes from the music sales. And, if you want further evidence of that, think about when's the last time anyone but G Dragon was noted for being a CF model from Big Bang. Now, Big Bang's a huge group, and they dominated Korean music for many, many years. And even to this day, Big Bang is still like a household name in certain K-pop spaces. If you're not like a complete fourth gen K-pop, you know who the hell Big Bang is. Like, you're not going to be able to get away with saying, no, I don't know who that group is. So, with that being said, why don't we hear a lot of stuff for Taeyong? Why isn't he like selling stuff all the time? We don't really hear about what he's doing. Top, I know that he does a little work here and there, but for the most part, we don't hear about any of his endorsement deals or stuff that he's doing. Like a lot of the members of Big Bang, it seems like things really aren't happening for them. Daesung, I cannot even think about the last time I heard anything about Daesung that had anything outside of his building that had the Ho houses in it and a Big Bang reunion. That's really it. I cannot think of anything else that anyone has had to say about Daesung in terms of endorsements, television shows, nothing. And it's because the music is what keeps you current. The music is what keeps people interested. Unless you decide that it's no longer about music and you are a something else star. Like that's really the only thing that makes it change. So like some people decide the music's not for me and they're like, I'm now a variety star. Like I feel like Heechul is a good example of like somebody who's like, I could really give a damn about the music at this point. I'm all about, being on Knowing Brothers and making variety appearances. And that's fine. I'm totally cool with that. But also like I don't want to seem mean, and please, Carolyn, forgive me, but who except for Stans are checking for Super Junior? I mean that with all the sincerity in the world. I would expect people to say the same thing about Shiny, but like seriously, who outside of actual Super Junior Stans are checking for Super Junior? Because the music is tired. The music is tired. So yeah, Heechel's doing the great thing by being like, I'm gonna concentrate my energies on my variety appearances because that's what pays the bills around these parts. And if Heechel didn't want to be known for Super Junior and just wanted to be known for being on television on variety, at this point in the game, he could absolutely do that. He could absolutely do that. So I think it is important to have the conversation about, how's the music doing? How do people like the music? Is the music selling? I think that's a valid place to be. Let's see, what else are we going to talk about? Oh, I was in Target today. I'm just going to talk about that very briefly. I went to Target today, and when I was in Target, I was looking in the music section, and I saw a lot of K-pop. And I was really happy at first looking at all the K-pop that I saw in Target because I'm like, oh, yes, finally, K-pop is doing its thing, and now it's just like going to a K-pop shop. But all the K-pop that I saw in Target, except for two K-pop items, were Hybe items. So it was in Hyphen, it was 17, it was BTS, um, it was TXT, and then outside of that, there was an ITZY album and there was a Twice album. I wasn't seeing anybody else at Target that wasn't a part of Hybe Big Hit Conglomerate. And I'm I'm not surprised, but I also feel like if somebody wanted to judge K-pop based on what you have available at the Target, it's unfortunate that the representation there is so not the representation of like the rest of K-pop. Not that I'm expecting an IVE album to be at Target or something like that, but definitely like it's always more guys. Like a fact, it's always more guys. And also like the women that are represented, like it is just very small offerings, and I would like to see SM put more of their girls in Target. Absolutely. SM needs to make sure that not just aespa ends up in Target, but take a chance and let Red Velvet be in Target. I'll buy it. I know a couple other girls who'll buy it. Just give us a chance. But, SM, I think that they are pretty much done with Red Velvet. I don't know why, because I feel like Red Velvet makes money, but I just feel like Red Velvet is definitely on a once a year schedule at this point, like one album per year in Korea, one Japanese comeback, and then it's over. And because of that, I could see why they're like, why would we put this in Target? But I was thinking about, like, okay, if we're going to talk about the lack of girls in Target, what girls would I want to see in Target? I really wish that SM had decided, even if they just did it in limited markets, to put Girls' Generation's album in Target. Like, not the deluxe edition, because obviously the deluxe edition was limited, but like the regular edition. I wish that they had put that in Target. I thought it would have been really nice for the only other American edition of a Girls' Generation album to be the one of OT8 after kind of everybody had gone to the wind. I thought that would have been a really cool thing to have happen. And it's sad that they didn't. Just to see, like, could they beat their original American sales record? Just for fun. Just for fun. But that didn't happen. But I would have really enjoyed that. Speaking of things I enjoy Sewn Wars. Oh my gosh, you guys. I'm such a petty person. Like, honestly, I think my middle name might be Petty. I am the pettiest person on earth. But it makes my heart sing with the fact that fans of Jessica have been so fucking hateful during this Girls' Generation reunion. Like, at every possible turn, no matter what, every fucking time. The girls have had their panties in a bunch. The girls have been big mad. The girls have been upset and obsessed. It is so hilarious to me. And it's hilarious to me because I feel like most Sewns, hey Sarah, I feel like most Sewns don't give a damn about what Jessica does. I feel like most Sewns, when you're talking about what Tiffany and Taeyeon and the rest of the girls are up to, you just don't hear them ever saying, "Oh, look, there goes Flopica again." They just never happens. But Jessica stands stay pressed about the adventures of OT8. They stay pressed, and they have had such a hard time dealing with the fact that like the deluxe version sold out. Dealing with the fact that the girls are all over your televisions, dealing with the fact that everybody's got all their natural teeth and they're all smiling way big, dealing with the fact that they done found a way to reorganize the songs in the choreo and not skipped a beat. They have been so pressed, and I love it. I love it. Uh, it makes my petty heart sing, especially because, like I said, I feel like OT8 fans haven't been that pressed about Jessica. The closest you've come to OT8 fans shitting on Jessica in any way is the books. That's really been it. There hasn't been anything else. Like, most OT8 fans don't give a damn about Blanc and Eclair. They don't care about her multiple lawsuits. They really don't care about Tyler Kwan and his continuing failures as a businessman. But the books were something. And the only reason why the books mattered is because a lot of OT8 fans were like, Jessica needs to keep our fave's name out of her mouth. That was really it. It was a lot of people saying, like, you have slandered my fave. I don't like that bullshit. Keep my face name out of your mouth. But outside of that, I don't really see a lot of OT8 talking about, oh, Floppica is on a Chinese variety show. How sad for her. They just don't care. They like really just don't care. And I wish that Jessica fans would get with it and get smart and like move their merry way on. Quit caring about what OT8 does. If it's not already obvious by now, let me make it very plain and clear. Jessica is never invited back to the family reunion. She's never invited back to the family reunion. She has been excommunicated from the Church of Sons. She is not ever coming back. There's nothing she could do at this point. Unless all of a sudden Jessica gets as popular as Justin Timberlake and then she does a VMA performance and she brings back the other girls to sing background for her at her VMA performance, there's never going to be a time when you can expect to see OT9 on stage. And it's not reasonable. Sorry about this. I had a bag was shifting around by my feet. It's not reasonable for Jessica's fans to think that at every turn, everything that OT8 does, they need to be like also putting Jessica's name in it. First of all, Jessica is not signed with SM. So that's one. Two, Jessica made sure not only did she leave SM under not so great circumstances, but that she aired them out on multiple platforms in multiple different ways. Three, she threw OT8 under the bus. She threw OT8 under the bus. I did a review of Jessica's Shine and her Bright novels, so if you want to hear about the many ways that Jessica has thrown the girls under the bus, please go back and watch those reviews. But Jessica, in her books and in her Weibo post when she left the group, said that the other 8 girls wanted her out. I'm sorry. I don't know what happens in your life, but when I want a bitch out of my life, I'm not going to spend my time after they're gone talking about, we really appreciate that she was here in the first place. No. Go. Bye. Bye. Bye, girl. Bye. And I've had a couple people on my comment sections of my videos saying that the fact that the song was called Forever One and the name of the group in Jessica's book is Girls Forever. Petty. I love it. I love it. I think it's amazing. But yeah, I think Jessica fans need to get over themselves. They really, here's an idea. Move the fuck on. Here's an idea. Move the fuck on. Because really and truly, Jessica needs to try to make sure that China works for her. That's really all she's got to worry about. Instead of y'all worrying about, oh, Jessica sold more tickets than OT8, and Jessica did this, and Jessica did that, and I bet your flops can't. Again, nobody over here is thinking about your girl. Why don't you keep your business your business? Seriously. Like, get the fuck over it. But I do hope that OT8 does more projects together. I hope that this album being the album that it was, made for the fans, I hope the fans really enjoyed it, but I really, really hope that they decide to do another album that just is a reflection of the styles that everybody else in the band likes. I wish that they would do a project that had 9 songs on it. 1 song for each girl solo, and then 1 group song. Just for funsies. Just for funsies. I would love to see it. I would love to see that, or like make some of these subunits that everybody wanted to see but they never got to see and put some of those songs on the album. I think that would be amazing. So, yeah, if I could do things the way that I want them to be done, I absolutely wish that OT8 would continue to do everything they can to make Jessica feel like she is never going to be missed. Ever, ever, ever. Oh, another thing I was thinking about, and somebody said this to me a long time ago, and I really didn't focus on it because at the time Sunny does need a little bit more. I feel like after everybody kind of quit doing group stuff, Sunny really did take some time and like, I just want to not work. And I don't blame her. I would be on that same vibe as well. Like if I was beautiful and wealthy and single, I would just spend some time not having a job. But, I'm also very lazy. But yeah, uh I was thinking about Jonghyun today because I think about him most days. It just is a thing. And I was thinking about I was thinking about Jonghyun and then I was thinking about Sully. And I was thinking about why it is that like Jonghyun is so remembered, and Sully is the person that people are afraid to discuss. And I think it all comes down to guilt. I think people feel more guilt over the roles they played in Sully's death than they do in Jonghyun's death. Because when the general public thinks about, like, what could we have done to help Jonghyun, we were like, well, he was happy and he didn't seem like there were any problems. He was good looking, he had money, he had dating opportunities, he was in a really popular group, and that group had not diminished in popularity significantly. Like, why would he do something like this? But when we think of Sully, I think a lot of people have a lot of guilt to share about mean things that they said about Sully, and they're just like, you know what? If we acknowledge the things that we did wrong, when we talk about her, that would make us feel bad, so let's just not talk about her. And I mean, I understand, because I had less than nice things to say about Sully when she was alive. I'm all about transparency here, even if it's hurtful. When Sully left FX to date Homeboy, Choiza, I was so angry. I was very angry that I felt that Sully had ruined the red light comeback. I was like, this bitch right here. I cannot believe she's out here grabbing dick over grabbing this opportunity for her band. Now, hindsight being 2020, I don't think that she broke up FX. I don't think that things were meant to go down the way it went down. Sully may have been exhausted and decided to take some time off with her man instead of promoting, but I don't think she meant for the public to find out that she was with her man. Um, Also, the schedule that SM had them on, SM didn't treat FX the greatest. And I think that Sully's departure from FX just gave them more of an excuse to not treat FX well. And so, any kind of bad feelings I have towards Sully, hindsight being what it is, it wasn't really her fault that things happened the way they did. It's SM's fault for being shitty. But yeah, I think when you look at Guhara, when you look at Sully, the reason why they don't have the same kind of homage given to them, the reason their deaths aren't given the same kind of reverence that Jong's death was given, is because we have to acknowledge our part in their deaths, and we are not ready to do that. We're not ready to do that. And it's unfortunate. And I hope that the time will come when we can spend more time acknowledging our roles in their deaths, if only to make it to where it doesn't happen again. Like, yeah, it really sucks that we were so awful to Guhara. I mean, I personally was not awful to Guhara. That I can say with a completely clear conscience, because I never had anything negative to say about that woman, except for I did say that I thought the chocolate comeback was a little bit weak. I stand by that. It's a good song, but the vocals were a little bit weak. But yeah, I never had anything negative to say about Guhara. I just really didn't have that much to say about Kara in general, but I never had anything negative to say about Guhara. But with Sully, I can acknowledge my wrongdoing there. And it's a lesson I'm learning, and I'm learning it all the time. And it's something that I think a lot of us who decide to speak out publicly about things, even if we have the tiniest of platforms, I think it's something we have to do over and over again, is to continue to learn, continue to try to do better, and not wait for somebody else to call us out to acknowledge places where we failed. I think it's an honorable thing to do, to constantly be self-evaluating and, trying to, I don't know, make up for maybe past errors, and, make up for past misstatements, and just try to be better. I think people can respect somebody for trying to go back and be like, you know what, I was really wrong here, and I need to acknowledge it because I don't ever want to do this again to anybody else. And I've really tried to be careful, at least since Sully's death, I've tried to be careful of criticizing any private relationships that idols have. I really have tried to do that. I think I have been joyous about private relationships. Like when Kang Daniel was going out with Chiho from Twice, I was very much like, good job. When oh gosh, what's his name, Chen from EXO got baby trapped, I was like, girl, teach me your ways. But in terms of like critiquing them for the fact that they had a relationship to begin with, I don't do that anymore. I don't do that because people are people. Wanting to be loved is a human condition. It's something that most of us strive for, if not all of us. And there's no problem with wanting to have somebody in your life and sometimes doing really stupid things to have people in your life. I think we've all been made a fool by love at one point or another. Um, so that's what I've learned. And I've really learned that lesson for real. And I've really moved past that. And now the way that I address idols, I really do try to keep it to the music. Circling back to my initial point, it really is about the music. Let's keep it a buck and let's just keep it on the music. And if it's not about the music, it needs to be about like the label or some actual foul shit somebody did. Like, I'm never going to be, let's just talk about the music when it comes to a Sungri. I'm never going to be, let's just talk about the music when we're talking about a Yuchen. I am going to talk about, gaslighting, potentially abusive situations, all that stuff, that's going to be there. But when it comes to like, oh, I didn't like the fact that this idol was wearing these ugly clothes. Yeah, I might make a note that the clothes are ugly, but I'm gonna make, and you ruin the comeback by being in your ugly clothes. Or if we find out some idol is dating, okay, cool, they're hooking up. I hope things go well for them. Like, just move on. Let's just move on. And, the whole goal of moving on, besides just, improving myself and trying to make sure I'm not creating an environment that makes some other idol feel worse, is also because, like, I don't think that a lot of us think about how much of life we're stripping from idols by our expectations. I think about someone like Taemin, and Taemin was really young when he started with Shiny. Like, he was a child, basically. And watching Jung's whole dating scandal happen in real time and seeing how terrible people treated Jung, I can only imagine how that twisted Taemin's life, like how he grew up being frightened of caring about somebody and inviting someone into his world and having like a real relationship with somebody. Like, he probably was not afraid of having sex with people because, like, he's a hot celebrity, of course he's going to get it going. But like, in terms of, trying to have a real relationship, trying to date, things like that, I could imagine he grew up terrified of that because he knew no matter how careful I was, they're going to find out. And what if they want to kick me out of my group because of something like that? I think about how you have idols singing love songs that have never been in love. And so you've got all these older men writing these songs, and these younger idol guys, they can rap about cars and clothes and that kind of stuff. But when it comes to like genuine emotions and what it's like to struggle with having a healthy relationship and being in love, that they don't really have the experience firsthand because we don't let them. We just don't let them. I also think about like education wise, how I don't know how anybody's able to progress in terms of like building their intellect in a situation where all of their time is taken up by the company's pursuits. At every opportunity, the company is like, you need to do this, you need to do that. You need to spend this many hours doing this. You need to be traveling to all these places. If you're a brand new group, we expect 3 to 4 comebacks a year. How does anybody have a chance to, go to school, take some classes, spend some time having discussions about interesting things in the world? Like, there's no time for that. And we spend a lot of time criticizing idols about the fact that they don't know that they're being culturally offensive in different places. Like, we criticize them for not knowing that this snippet of song was supposed to be a prayer and they shouldn't have used it as a sample, even though that idol didn't know that and the producer's the one who brought the beat. We tell them, oh, this thing that you have in your video is actually this famous relic, or we tell them that Confederate flag is awful and this, that, the other. And I'm not saying that I'm trying to give a pass for cultural appropriation, but I do feel like a lot of idols do not get the opportunity to learn stuff. They don't get the opportunity to investigate, like, okay, we have this comeback, and because the company has given me full power of our comeback, and I can say yes and no to everything, I've looked at every element of this video, I've looked at every element of the song, and I've determined these are the 3 things we need to fix because they are culturally appropriative, or they're culturally insensitive. I don't think any idol in history has had that opportunity. I just don't think it's true. Because, I mean, I absolutely believe them most of the time when they say, like, I had no idea, I'm so sorry, we'll take that out. But seriously, how many groups of the popular groups and we're not talking BTS, but we are including Blackpink. How many of those groups, honestly, are the ones who are like, I've put all this together, and after putting everything together, this is the product we're putting out, and I've researched everything, and I'm pretty sure we're doing everything appropriate. I've made sure that there's nothing here that anybody from any other country could ever find offense with, because I've had the chance to study, I've had the chance to, pick up books, I've taken some classes, I've got a associates in religion, and I'm fairly certain that this is good product. Never happens. Never happens. They treat these kids like robots. It never happens. So getting mad at a group because their producer or their stylist or somebody else in their camp who's getting paid by the company does something stupid, and they just happen to be the mannequin that's wearing the stupid thing or saying the stupid thing or dancing the stupid way, like, that's so unproductive. That's so unproductive, when really we need to be talking to these labels, because the labels pay people who should know. The labels actually do pay people who've had a chance to live life and have had a chance to get degrees and had a chance to do better. Like, I'm always mad at SM about their English. At every turn, I'm always fucking mad at SM about their English, because SM's got money. SM's got big money. And SM's got trainees who speak the King's English and the American shit English. And any one of those people could have looked at some of the inserts from some of these SM albums and been like, this don't read right. There are dozens upon dozens of expats living in Korea right now teaching English that would be more than happy to take the $100 in a signed CD from SM and go over the English that's used in songs, go over the English that's used in the CD jacket. There's no excuse for SM to fuck up. There's an excuse for an idol not to know that Fantastic Elastic sounds stupid. Like, Shiny's not gonna know nothing, but SM absolutely knows better. So I'm gonna spend my energy shitting on SM because they fucking know better, and they got the money to do better. But anyway, I didn't mean to talk this long. I really meant to only talk for like a little bitty while, but I'm still waiting on my Key albums. Still waiting on my Key albums. I'm sure I'll get them eventually. It's just, I don't know. I'm just so disappointed in SM. Like, seriously, I'm very, very disappointed. SM had to have known that the VHS version of this album was going to be the most popular. They had to have known, simply because it's such a novel concept. And I'm looking at this now and I'm just like, okay, they're not even listing the VH version on websites anymore. Like, I went to K-Pop Town today to look and see, like, how things going with sales. They don't even have the VHS version listed as an item that they sell anymore. And my whole order has been delayed. It's now been 2 weeks. Yeah, been delayed 2 weeks because SM fucked up with the supply chain. I'm just so disappointed in SM. I'm so disappointed in SM. I'm congratulatory of Key, though. I mean, Key, look at this. Your fans love you so much. We actually sold out one of your versions of your album. We love you that much. But SM, come on. Come on. I can only assume that maybe the reason why SM didn't print enough copies of the VHS version is because of the fact that there's still a lot of copies of Bad Love available for sale. I don't ever see copies of Face for sale on these different K-pop websites, and I never see copies of I Wanna Be for sale on these different K-pop websites, but I see tons and tons and tons of copies of Bad Love available, and like every version of Bad Love is available on most K-pop websites to this day. And I think that because Bad Love did not sell as well as Face and I Wanna Be did, that's the reason why SM decided to be kind of low key on the print. But if that's the case, just make less versions. Just make less versions. I think Bad Love struggled with sales not because it wasn't a good album. I think it was a great little mini album. I think the problem was there were too many versions. There was the CD ray gun version, there was the kind of like cereal box version, there was a two booklets, two like magazine versions, And I want to say there was one more version that I'm forgetting, but there were like 5 different versions of the Bad Love mini album. And he is no NCT. You know, he pushes weight, but he doesn't push that kind of weight. And I think it was just too much for the market. And now, thank you. There was the cassette and the vinyl. So actually there was 6. There was cassette, vinyl, 2 magazines, a ray gun, and a cereal box. That's too much. That's too much. So this time we had the floppy disk, we had 2 magazines, and a VHS. So that's 4, which is better, but it's still a little too much. I think somebody like Key, if we're keeping our expectations reasonable, I think we would have done better just to have 2 versions. I think that would have been a safe bet. Like one kind of a novelty version, and then one that's just, regular, something regular. But yeah, I think that is kind of where SM made the mistake, because now the version that everybody wants is sold out and people are mad and people aren't getting their orders. And knowing SM, we might not get our orders for literal months. Literal months. Because if anyone's ever ordered from SM's website, which thank God I never have, they can tell you if you pre-order an album from the SM official company website, it usually takes you 2 to 3 months to get your album from them. 2 to 3 months from the official company website. Not K-Town for you. The official company website takes 2 to 3 months to get you your album that you pre-ordered. That says a lot about SM supply chain logistics. It really, really does. Also, I noticed somebody was talking about I should do a podcast. Um, I've thought about doing a podcast. I really, really have. But I just don't want to do a podcast by myself. Nobody wants to listen to a podcast of one person just droning on and on. I would much rather, if I was going to do a podcast, I'd want to do it with other people, just because I think banter is entertaining. I know when I listen to podcasts, I listen for banter. But also, I'm so consistently wrong on so many things. Like just now when I was trying to talk about all the different versions of Key's album, I was messing up all the time. And so I really do think like I would need to talk to somebody else, because I am not good on my own. Like Mason and I doing the BL, busy talking about boys. I think that worked out really well for us, because again, like when I would be wrong, he would correct me quite often. So I think that worked out really well for the both of us. But I think me just talking by myself would be tragic. In fact, I don't know why you guys let me get away with it on my own channel. I guess just because you can't tell me any better. But yeah, I don't think that me talking by myself on a podcast works. I think it only works in this format because every once in a while when I say something crazy, you can rewind it and look at my face while I'm doing something crazy. And then also like every once in a while I'll come up here with like albums and things that you can look at, and so I break up the monotony that way. But for the most part, yeah, if y'all just had to hear me talking all the time, you will get sick of me. You would get sick of me. So yeah, definitely have to have a partner. Cannot do it by myself. But I'm gonna go. But let me know what you think about my idea of going back and like just reviewing Chinese albums, because I feel like I should. And also like not for nothing. Don't tell nobody I said this, but tell everybody I said this. So there are, I want to say maybe 5 or 6 shiny podcasts out there. I'm glad you said podcast. Let's lead me into this. Maybe 5 or 6 shiny podcasts out there. And most of them are between 2 to 3 years old. Um, and I feel like there's something lacking in those podcasts. Um, and I don't want to say that what's lacking is me, even though that could be an easy fix. But I think what's lacking in some of those podcasts is that a lot of those podcasts, some of them have too many people, some of them don't have enough people, and then some of them approach Shiny as if Shiny wasn't an actual group with actual flaws. Like some of them approach Shiny as if everything Shiny touched turned to gold. Shiny never took a bowel movement. Basically, that Shiny was a religion rather than a group that people really liked. And I think that talking about the music, especially, a lot of times either people are like, I absolutely hated this song, or this was the best song they ever made, and it becomes this whole kind of like fight for the hottest of takes. And I think if we're going to talk about the music, yes, everybody's got their hot takes about the music. I got several hot takes about Chinese music. But I'm also willing to talk about Chinese music outside of kind of the modern format of like hot takes, spill tea, controversial opinion. I'm willing to talk about Chinese music even in places where maybe I'm not as comfortable, you know? So I would think like if I was to have the discussion about Chinese music, I would talk about what the music sounds like to me. I would probably do a little bit more visual discussion about the music because, like, when I was talking about Key's album, I definitely talked about like what visual would I put with the song. I would probably talk about how I felt about the comeback overall or the release overall. Um, if I could, I might spend a little bit of time looking at the Chinese timeline during that album to talk about some of the periphery regarding that. But I think that that's a that's a way that I want to see the music approached. And since I want to see it and it's not really being done the way that I necessarily want to see it, I'm going to have to do it myself. And hopefully it'll be entertaining for you guys. And hopefully it'll be something that as you're cleaning your kitchen or doing your laundry sort, you could put it on in the background and you'll be glad you had it on in the background because that's really the best I could do for you. But yeah, kind of just approach it in a way like the way that I want people to talk about Shiny with me, I'm going to talk about it with you. And hopefully that'll work out. And then maybe some of you will want to talk Shiny with me. Like, seriously, if you want to talk Shiny with me, like, if you want to get on a Zoom call and you want to talk Shiny with me, and like we do a mini album together or something like that, let me know because I'm down for that. That sounds like fun to me, because again, like I just got through saying, I'm wrong about a lot of things. I constantly have to have people correct me about stuff. So I wouldn't mind having somebody be like, hey, girl, that was completely wrong because, yeah, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect at all. But anyway, I hope that the next time I see you guys, either I'm talking about Shiny or I'm showing you albums that I have, and it's one of those two. I really hope that that's the case. Gosh, I really hope my albums come in soon. And on a side note of having nothing to do with K-pop at all, nothing to do with music at all, I told you guys I was in the Target today. I was in the Target today because the new Kalani Barsfield Brown collection came out with Target. It's like Future Collective by Target, and it's a black female designer. She's a woman who is younger than me. I think she's in her late 30s, if that. And the collection, in my opinion, is super duper cute. And it's something that I don't really talk to you guys about a lot, but I am the world's most casual, least creative dresser. Like when it comes to the clothes I wear, I don't really wear jewelry all that often. You guys rarely ever see me with a face beat. It's mostly my glasses and some shirt and probably a pair of black pants that I'm wearing to work every day. But in my heart of hearts, in the most secret recesses of my soul, I am a fashionista. When I was in high school, I took several fashion design classes. I actually got Student of the Year for fashion design when I was in high school. I've always had a love for designers, for fashion, for art, for, style, for looks. And I really appreciate this collection that Kalana has put into Target because the collection runs size range from extra small to 4X. And one of the things that was frustrating about fashion for me growing up is that I grew up fat. I was a big girl at a different point in my life, not today, but many, many years ago. I was almost 350 pounds. I was a big girl. And it was tough. It was really, really tough because I was 350 pounds before Torrid was everywhere. Back when Torrid was still a part of Hot Topic. I was 350 pounds back when the only places that you could consistently get plus size clothes were Lane Bryant and Catherine's. And this was before the internet was super big, so I wasn't able to order clothes from overseas. And I just remember spending my time as a younger teenager really sad about my appearance And really, more than anything, just wanting to like look like everybody else and be able to buy clothes that let me look like everybody else instead of buying clothes that made me look like the old church lady. And so I love the fact that in 2022, a girl or a woman who is a size 20 US or is a size 26 US can walk into her Target and find stylish, cute clothes that are everything that the small girls are getting. I just think that is so amazing, and it's really awoken something in me. It's really made me feel like I want to be more invested in wardrobe. I want to be more invested in clothes. I want to get back some of that desire I had. I mean, because growing up a teenager who loved clothes but couldn't fit in clothes, all I wore was like baggy jeans. I wore Dickies, I wore Jinko, I wore Adidas t-shirts, I wore Nike shoes, Converse. I I was your Y2K, but like the boring side of Y2K fashion. And so, yeah, I'm totally excited about the fact that plus size fashion is more than Torrid and it's more than Lane Bryant. It's all these other fun things. In recent packages of clothes that I've received at my home, I bought stuff from Nasty Gal and I bought stuff from Cider, and I just recently bought some of the new collection from Target, and I can't wait to get that. And it's just it's just one of those things that brings me joy. So you guys getting to know a little bit more about me, and again, like I said, it has nothing to do with K-pop, but I'm really excited about the expansion of plus size fashion, but I'm still fuck Shein all day long. Also, don't get it twisted. I think Shein is actively trying to ruin the earth with its clothing. The clothing is literally made of spit, paper, and dreams, and it doesn't last for hardly a wash. Also, there's so much of it, and it's all such flimsy, flimsy shit, but it takes so many resources to create that it is literally eating holes in our planet. So while I won't say that Target and other retailers are better than Shein, Shein truly is trash. And I'm not saying that you're a trash person for buying Shein, because I know for a fact plus size clothing is expensive. Even this new collection at Target, the pants start at, I want to say, $36, which is not cheap at all. But if you can buy anything other than Shein, please do. Please do. Because Shein is terrible. It's just terrible. But anyway, I digress. Get off my soapbox. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.